In the beginning, God created. He created the heavens and the earth. He created humanity in His own image. Now, the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep. The Spirit of God was hovering over the waters, and God breathed creative words, and there was light in darkness. And God breathed creative words, and water separated above and below. And God breathed creative words, and waters below gathered together, and land appeared. And God breathed creative words, and the land produced vegetation. And God breathed creative words, and our sun and moon and all the stars and planets and moons and space bodies were formed and put into place. And God breathed creative words, and the space between the water above and the water below, what we call sky, was filled with the birds of the air. And the waters below, what we know as seas and rivers and lakes and oceans, were filled with great water creatures, big and small. And God breathed creative words, and the land produced living creatures, which we know as livestock, creatures that move along the ground, and wild animals. There was dust of the ground without form and without life. And God shaped dust from the ground and gave it form, and then breathed into it His breath of life, and it became a living being. But this being, this man, was alone, and so God took a part of it from it and created an equal, so that when these two parts come together, it would truly be the one created image of God together. And so God breathed order from chaos, brought light into darkness and life. And since then, God orders chaos, let light rule over darkness, and brings life from death. And as His image, man and woman, together being the image of God, as they walk in creative, loving relationship with their Creator, had the opportunity to continue in this way. Also in their daily living, to do this. Through tending the earth, through loving each other, through walking with God, and by using the breath of God that He breathed into them to bring order from chaos, to let God's light rule in them and through them over the dark, and to help sustain life. But instead, they used the same breath that God breathed into them to give them life, to curse God, to break their relationship with Him, to let darkness overshadow God's light in them and therefore through them. And instead of chaos continually being ordered, order was now thrown into chaos. And for the very first time, instead of continuing to sustain life, they brought about death. Order is no longer the norm, but the darkness that have crept into every human's heart since has caused chaos and have led to countless deaths and ultimately to no hope. But then one day the rumors start to grow. There's this Jesus of Nazareth, apparently born of a virgin in a place and moving to places according to all the prophecies of old. He does miracles like cleansing lepers with only His spoken word. He heals blind people with only His spit. He heals the paralyzed with a single command. He heals blood disease with a single touch. He speaks and evil leaves. And now it's Palm Sunday, soon. And not only has this Jesus done these amazing aforementioned things, but just the other week He raised Lazarus from the dead. You know Lazarus, who comes from a well-known family in Bethany, you know, the town not far from Jerusalem. He died. And then Jesus came and He called Lazarus out of death and darkness. And he came out. He died and Jesus made him alive. Could He be the Messiah? Could He be the one that we've been waiting for? Surely He is. He has to be. He has to be the King we've been waiting for. I know, let's go wait at the gate and welcome Him. I heard people are gathering palm branches. It seems fitting for a king. Let's join them. And then Palm Sunday came. And Jesus was received as King and Messiah, the promised one. And it looked like light has finally overcome darkness. And this chaotic kingdom would again have order, and there would be an end to all this hate and death. There was a light at the end of the tunnel. But as soon as this hope sparked a flickering light into a world of darkness, the darkness overshadowed hearts once again. The same Jesus was taken under the cover of darkness, stood in a rigged trial under the cover of darkness. And when light finally broke the night, it was overshadowed by utter chaos in that Roman public square. Hopeful voices that less than a week ago shouted Hosanna, now with darkened hearts shouted, crucify him. Again, those who were given life by receiving God's breath used the same breath that God breathed into them to curse God, to maintain their broken relationship with Him, to let darkness continue to overshadow God's light in them and therefore through them. Again, instead of chaos continually being order is again thrown into chaos. And now, for who knows the how manyth time, instead of choosing to sustain life, you, again want to bring about death. This time not just to God's creation, but to God Himself. And so, we nailed hope to a cross. We nailed order to a cross. We nailed light to a cross. We nailed life to a cross. It's Friday.